After 25 years of being the unwanted daughter, watching my brothers inherit $18 million while I got a dusty envelope felt like the final insult, until I opened it and discovered the secret that would destroy them both. If you are watching this, kindly subscribe and let me know where you are watching from. And I hope that you're safe wherever you are. The lawyer's office smelled like old leather and broken dreams. I sat in the corner chair, the same position I'd occupied my entire life, always present, never acknowledged. My name is Sarah Mitchell, though I'd carried the Blackwood name for 25 years before learning it was never really mine. My father, Richard Blackwood, built his empire from nothing. Steel manufacturing, real estate, investments. When he died last month, clutching his chest in his home office, he left behind a fortune worth $18 million. Today, we'd learn who got what. My older brothers, Marcus and Daniel, sat across from me like kings waiting for their coronation. Marcus, 32, already wearing our father's Rolex. Daniel, 29, scrolling through yacht catalogs on his phone. They'd been planning this moment for years. The will of Richard Thomas Blackwood, Attorney Williams began, his voice echoing in the paneled room. Executed 6 months before his death. The first 10 minutes went exactly as expected. Marcus inherited the manufacturing company, worth $12 million. He actually smiled, probably calculating expansion plans. Daniel received the real estate portfolio, $6 million in properties across 3 states. He was already texting his wife about which house they'd move into first. Then Attorney Williams paused. His eyes found mine across the room. To Sarah, he read slowly, "I leave this envelope to be opened in private, containing what she needs to know." The laughter was immediate. Marcus nearly choked on his coffee. "An envelope," he wheezed. 25 years of playing family and dad left her paper. Daniel was more controlled, but his smirk cut deep. "Maybe it's a thank you note. Thanks for understanding your place, Sarah. Here's a hallmark moment." Williams handed me a brown envelope, worn at the edges. My name was written across it in shaky handwriting. It weighed nothing. 25 years in this family, and my entire inheritance was lighter than a birthday card. "There's one final statement," Williams continued. "Your father insisted I read this aloud. Love may bind families, but truth sets them free. Each of you will receive exactly what you deserve." My brothers were too busy celebrating to notice the strange wording. They were already arguing about office space at headquarters. I slipped the envelope into my purse and walked toward the door. "Hey Sarah," Marcus called out. "When you're done reading bedtime stories, I might have a job opening in accounting. Minimum wage, but hey, it's something." Their laughter followed me into the hallway. I'd heard that sound my entire life, the soundtrack of never belonging, never mattering, never being enough. But as I sat in my car, staring at that envelope, something felt different. Father's final words echoed in my mind. "Each of you will receive exactly what you deserve." What if this wasn't the end of my story? What if it was just the beginning? My apartment felt smaller when I returned, like the walls were closing in. I'd lived in this one-bedroom place for 3 years, paying rent while my brothers lived in family properties rent-free. Everything reminded me of my place in the family hierarchy. Second-hand furniture, generic artwork, a life built from scraps. I made tea with shaking hands, delaying the inevitable. Part of me wanted to throw the envelope away unopened, preserve what little dignity I had left. But curiosity burned stronger than pride. The envelope was older than I'd first noticed. The paper was thick, expensive, from another era. When I finally opened it, I found 2 items inside: a single sheet of paper and a small brass key. The paper contained a handwritten message in Father's careful script. "Sarah, for the daughter who was never supposed to survive. Storage Unit, 247, Pine Valley Self-Storage, Highway 9. Your mother hid the truth there before she died. The key unlocks more than a door. Use it wisely. Love, Richard." My hands started trembling. For the daughter who was never supposed to survive. My mother died in a house fire when I was 3. Everyone always said it was tragic but simple. Electrical failure. But Father's words suggested something darker. I grabbed my laptop and searched for Pine Valley Self-Storage. It was an hour's drive north, a facility that looked like it had been there for decades. According to their website, they'd been operating since 1985. Unit 247 had been rented continuously for 22 years. 22 years. since right after my mother died. The storage facility was eerily quiet when I arrived. Row after row of metal doors, each hiding someone's secrets. Unit 247 was in the back corner, away from the main road. The brass key turned smoothly, like it had been recently oiled. Inside was a small room lined with filing cabinets, boxes, and a desk. Everything was covered in dust except for one chair that looked recently used. Someone had been here, recently. The first file I opened contained newspaper clippings about my mother's death. Local woman dies, in house fire. But these weren't the articles I'd seen before. These were from different papers, with different details. One mentioned suspicious burn patterns. Another questioned the electrical investigation. The second file made my blood run cold. Insurance documents showing a $2 million life insurance policy on my mother. Beneficiary, Richard Blackwood. Signed just 6 months before she died. But the third file destroyed everything I thought I knew about my family. It contained photographs of my mother with a man who wasn't my father. Love letters, hotel receipts, phone records, and a letter addressed to me, in my mother's handwriting. My dearest Sarah. It began, if you're reading this, then something has happened to me, and you've grown old enough to learn the truth. Richard Blackwood is not your father. Your real father is Detective James Mitchell, the man I fell in love with while he was investigating Richard's business practices. We planned to leave together, to start fresh with you. But Richard discovered our affair. He threatened to destroy James's career, have him arrested on false charges. I chose to stay, to protect the man I loved and the daughter who meant everything to me. But I fear Richard will never forgive this betrayal. If something happens to me, know that you were created from love, not convenience. Your real father lives in Portland, Oregon. Find him, Sarah. Learn who you really are. I sat in that dusty chair, holding my mother's final words, understanding finally why I'd never fit into the Blackwood family. I wasn't one of them. I was the evidence of my mother's greatest love and Richard's deepest humiliation. But there was one more file. Recent bank statements, account transfers, email printouts. Someone had been investigating the Blackwood family finances for years. Someone had been gathering evidence of fraud, tax evasion, money laundering. Someone had been building a case against my brothers. The last document in the file was a letter dated 1 week ago. Sarah, if you found this, then the cancer finally won. I've spent 22 years investigating your mother's death, gathering evidence against the men who killed her. Your brothers have expanded the family business beyond anything Richard ever imagined. They're not just businessmen anymore. They're criminals. And they're about to inherit the resources to become something much worse. The evidence is all here. The choice of what to do with it is yours. But remember, sometimes the greatest revenge stories begin with family drama that demands justice. Love, Detective James Mitchell. Your father. I had a father. A real father who'd spent over 2 decades seeking justice for my mother. And I had enough evidence to destroy the family that never wanted me. The question was, what would I do with it? The drive back to my apartment felt surreal. 25 years of believing I was unwanted, when the truth was I'd been protected by a father I didn't know existed. The files sat in my passenger seat like unexploded bombs, each page containing enough information to shatter lives. I needed to hear his voice. Detective James Mitchell. My real father. The Portland Police Department transferred me 3 times before someone finally found him. Mitchell speaking. The voice was gruff, weathered, exactly what I'd imagined a detective would sound like. Detective Mitchell. My voice cracked. This is Sarah. Sarah Blackwood. I think you knew my mother. The silence stretched so long I thought he'd hung up. Then I heard him breathing, deep and shaky. Anna, he whispered. Anna's daughter. Oh God, Sarah. I've been waiting 22 years for this call. Tears I didn't know I was holding back poured down my face. I found the storage unit. I read Mother's letter. I know what happened. Are you safe? The detective in him kicked in immediately. Where are you? Are they watching you? I'm safe. They think I got nothing. They're celebrating their inheritance, while I looked at the files, while I have enough evidence to put them in prison forever. Sarah, listen carefully. What I'm about to tell you will be hard to hear, but you need to know everything. Your mother didn't die in an electrical fire. Marcus and Daniel discovered her affair with me when they were teenagers. They found love letters in her room. Instead of telling Richard directly, They decided to handle it themselves. My stomach dropped. What are you saying? They were 17 and 14, Sarah, old enough to understand that your existence threatened their inheritance, old enough to know that scandal could destroy their father's business empire. They set that fire themselves. The phone slipped from my hand. My brothers, teenagers when they murdered my mother, children who calculated that family drama required permanent solutions. I picked up the phone with trembling fingers. How do you know this? Because I've been investigating it for 22 years. I could never prove it legally. Richard had too much money, too many connections, but I never stopped gathering evidence. When Richard was diagnosed with cancer last year, he contacted me. Guilt, I think. He confessed everything, helped me understand how deep his son's crimes went. Richard knew. He suspected immediately. But he made the same choice I did: protect you or pursue justice. We both chose you. Richard kept you close but distant, never letting them see you as a real threat. I watched from Portland, building a case for the day you'd be old enough and strong enough to decide their fate. Have you ever learned that your entire life was built on lies designed to protect you? The isolation, the emotional distance, the constant feeling of not belonging. It wasn't rejection, it was preservation. There's more, Sarah. Your brothers didn't stop with your mother. The family business isn't just steel manufacturing anymore. They've been using it to launder money for organized crime, drug cartels, human trafficking, weapons dealing. The 18 million they just inherited, it's all blood money. I opened one of the files, scanning financial documents. I now understood. Shell companies, offshore accounts, transaction patterns that screamed criminal enterprise. How much evidence do you have? Enough to put them away for life. But Sarah, this is your choice. You can walk away from all of this, take your mother's maiden name, start fresh somewhere else. Or I can give them exactly what they deserve. That's not for me to decide. Revenge stories like this, they change you. Once you start down this path, there's no going back. I thought about Marcus laughing when I received the envelope. Daniel's smirk when he suggested I apply for minimum wage jobs. 25 years of being treated like I didn't matter, while they built an empire on my mother's grave. What would I need to do? The FBI has been watching them for months, waiting for the right moment to move. They need someone on the inside, someone with access to family documents, someone they'd never suspect, someone like the unwanted daughter who just got cut out of the will. Exactly. You'd wear a wire, attend family meetings, gather evidence of their current operations. It would be dangerous, Sarah. These aren't just greedy businessmen anymore. They're killers. I looked at my reflection in my apartment window. For 25 years, I'd been Sarah Blackwood, the daughter who never belonged. But that was a lie. I was Sarah Mitchell, the daughter of a detective and a woman who died for love. Maybe it was time to start acting like it. What's the first step? You need to seem desperate, broken by the will reading. Make them believe you're harmless. Tomorrow I want you to call Marcus and beg for a job. Make him think he's won completely. The irony was perfect. They thought they'd crushed me today. Instead, they'd given me the greatest gift possible. Freedom from the lie that I was one of them. Detective James, I said. Testing the word father wasn't ready to leave my lips yet. Are you proud of what I'm choosing? Your mother would be proud. She died protecting the man she loved, and the daughter who meant everything to her. Now her daughter is going to make sure her killers finally pay. After I hung up, I sat in my apartment planning the performance of my lifetime. Tomorrow I'd return to being the broken, desperate daughter. But inside, I'd be something my brothers never expected me to be. Dangerous. The next morning, I called Marcus with tears in my voice. Real tears, because even though I now knew the truth, 25 years of rejection still hurt. Marcus, I sobbed into the phone. I can't pay rent. I lost my job last week, and with Dad giving me nothing. Please, I need help. His laughter was cruel, just like always. Sarah, what did you think would happen? That Dad would suddenly treat you like a real family? I just need work, anything. I'll clean offices, answer phones, whatever you need. You know what? Come Monday morning. We might have something in the mailroom. Minimum wage, part-time. But hey, it's charity, and I'm feeling generous. Perfect. Inside the family business with access to everything. That weekend, I met with Detective Mitchell and FBI Special Agent Rodriguez. They fitted me with surveillance equipment so small it was invisible. A wire sewn into my bra strap, a recording device that looked like a hearing aid, cameras disguised as jewelry. Remember, Agent Rodriguez explained, you're gathering evidence of current crimes. We need them talking about ongoing operations, future plans. The stuff from the storage unit gives us historical context, but we need fresh evidence for prosecution. Detective Mitchell squeezed my hand. You don't have to do this, Sarah. We can find another way. But looking at him, seeing my mother's eyes in my own reflection, I knew there was no other way. This was bigger than revenge stories or family drama. This was justice. Monday morning, I walked into Blackwood Industries, wearing my most pathetic outfit, a faded dress, worn shoes, the appearance of someone completely defeated. The receptionist barely looked up when I asked for Marcus. You actually came, he said. When I entered his office, the corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows that should have been Richard's, I thought you might have some pride left. Pride doesn't pay bills, I mumbled, keeping my eyes down. No, it doesn't. He leaned back in his chair, savoring his power over me. Here's the deal. You work in the basement mailroom, $8 an hour, 20 hours a week. You sort packages, file documents, and you keep your mouth shut about family business. Understood? Yes, sir. Sir? He laughed. I like that. From now on, that's what you call me, sir, or Mr. Blackwood. You're not family, Sarah. You're an employee, a charity case. The basement mailroom was perfect for my purposes. Packages from all over the world passed through my hands. I photographed shipping labels, documented return addresses, recorded everything with my hidden equipment. Within a week I had evidence of import licenses for products that didn't exist, shipping manifests for containers that weighed far more than their declared contents, payments from companies with names like Paradise Imports and Golden Valley Trading that were obvious fronts. But the real breakthrough came during my second week, when I was asked to deliver files to Daniel's office. Just leave them on the desk, he said, not looking up from his computer screen. But as I set down the papers, I saw what was on his monitor. A video call with 3 men I didn't recognize. The conversation was in progress. The shipment from Colombia arrives Thursday. One man was saying, 40 containers, usual arrangement, payment ready. Daniel replied, 2 million transferred to the Cayman account yesterday. What about the special cargo? 6 girls, ages 16 to 22, all documented with fake visas. They'll be processed through the Portland facility before distribution. My blood turned to ice. They weren't just laundering money, they were trafficking human beings. I forced myself to keep breathing, to act like the broken woman they believed me to be. But inside, I was documenting every word, every face on that screen. Any problems with the new operation? The man continued. None. The steel manufacturing gives us perfect cover. Who questions cargo containers, going to construction sites? As I left Daniel's office, I heard Marcus's voice from the conference room down the hall. The door was slightly open, and I could see inside. A meeting with men in expensive suits, spreadsheets on the table showing profit margins that made no sense for steel manufacturing. The family revenge angle worked perfectly, Marcus was saying. Dad's death removed the last obstacle to expansion. With him gone, we can finally operate without his squeamish conscience holding us back. What about the girl? One man asked. The daughter. Marcus laughed. Sarah? She's harmless. Desperate for scraps from our table. We've got her filing papers in the basement like a good little servant. She could be a problem later. She's not smart enough to be a problem. Besides, if she ever becomes inconvenient, we know how to handle family members who threaten the business. The casual way he said it made my stomach turn. They were talking about killing me the same way they'd killed my mother, like it was just another business decision. That night, I met with Detective Mitchell and Agent Rodriguez in a parking garage. When they heard the recordings, saw the photographs, their faces went pale. Sarah, we need to get you out of there immediately, Detective Mitchell said. These people are more dangerous than we realized. No, my voice was stronger than I'd expected. This is just the beginning. They trust me now, see me as harmless. I can get deeper. They're talking about killing you. They've already killed me, James. 25 years ago, they killed the daughter, who might have grown up loved and wanted. What's left of me is just cleaning up their mess. Agent Rodriguez nodded slowly. She's right. This is our best chance. But Sarah, at the first sign of real danger, we pull you out. No revenge story is worth your life. But as I drove home, I realized this wasn't about revenge anymore. Those 6 girls they'd mentioned, ages 16 to 22, somewhere, they were trapped, scared, probably praying for someone to save them. I was going to be that someone, even if it killed me. The next 2 weeks at Blackwood Industries felt like walking through a minefield blindfolded. Every morning, I put on my mask of desperation and gratitude, playing the role of broken daughter, while secretly documenting every crime passing through that mailroom. The evidence was overwhelming. Shipping containers filled with drugs disguised as steel beams, wire transfers to accounts linked to terrorist organizations, communication logs showing coordination with human trafficking networks across 3 continents. My brothers hadn't just inherited a business, they'd inherited an empire built on human suffering. But the worst discovery came on a Friday afternoon, when I was organizing old files in the basement archive. Hidden behind boxes of legitimate shipping records, I found Marcus's personal files, his real records. They kept a ledger, a detailed accounting of every crime, every victim, every profit margin, written in Marcus's careful handwriting, like it was just another business expense report. Anna Blackwood disposal $50,000 contractor fee. My mother, they'd budgeted for her murder like ordering office supplies. But there were other entries, other disposals, employees who'd asked too many questions, competitors who'd gotten too close to the truth, a judge who'd refused to dismiss charges against one of their shell companies. My brothers were serial killers disguising their crimes as business operations. I photographed every page with hands that shook so badly, I had to retake most shots. 22 entries over 15 years. 22 people dead because they'd threatened Blackwood Industries. That weekend, Detective Mitchell and I developed our final plan. The FBI had enough evidence for arrests, but they wanted something bigger. They wanted to dismantle the entire network, save those trafficked girls, and prevent future victims. There's a major shipment arriving next Thursday, I explained, showing them the shipping manifests. 40 containers from Colombia, but 6 of them aren't carrying drugs, they're carrying people. How do you know which 6? Agent Rodriguez asked. Because I've been tracking the manifest codes. Containers ending in HT are human trafficking. Marcus thinks he's being clever with the abbreviation. Detective Mitchell studied the surveillance photos I'd taken. Sarah, this Thursday operation will be the biggest bust in FBI history. But it's also when you'll be in the most danger. If they suspect you're involved, they won't. I've been the perfect broken employee for 3 weeks. They see me as furniture. But that wasn't entirely true anymore. I'd noticed Marcus watching me differently lately. Not with contempt, but with curiosity, like he was trying to figure something out. There's something else, I said, pulling out the ledger photographs. They keep records of everyone they've killed, including my mother, but also including people they're planning to kill. Agent Rodriguez went pale as she read the entries. There are future dates here, people scheduled for disposal next month, including a federal judge who's been investigating money laundering in steel imports. Judge Harrison. We wondered why he'd been asking for protective custody. Do you see how far my brother's criminal empire had spread? They weren't just running a family business anymore. They were running a killing machine with government connections. The plan is simple, Detective Mitchell explained. Thursday morning, you go to work normally. Plant the additional surveillance devices we're giving you in Marcus and Daniel's offices. At exactly 2 p.m., when they're handling the container inspection, FBI teams will move in simultaneously at the ports, their offices, and their homes. What about the girls? Rescue teams are standing by. The moment those containers are opened, they'll have medical and psychological support ready. I spent Monday through Wednesday playing my role perfectly, sorting mail, filing papers, staying invisible. But inside, I was memorizing every face, every voice, every detail that would help convict the people who'd stolen my family and murdered my mother. Wednesday night, Marcus asked me to stay late. Sarah, he said, standing too close to my desk. You've been working hard. Thank you, sir. I've been thinking, maybe it's time to bring you upstairs, give you real responsibility. Warning bells screamed in my head. I'm happy in the mailroom, sir. I insist. Tomorrow I want you to observe our container inspection process. Learn how we handle international shipments. My blood turned to ice. He wanted me there during the trafficking operation. Either he suspected me, or he was planning to eliminate a witness. That's very kind, sir. But I don't want to be in the way. His smile was cold as a blade. Sarah, your family. It's time you learned the real family business. That night, I called Detective Mitchell in a panic. He knows. Marcus knows something. We can pull you out right now. No, those girls arrive tomorrow. If we abort now, they disappear forever. and my brothers escape justice. Sarah, this could be a trap. Then I'll spring it. 22 years my mother has been waiting for justice. 22 other victims are counting on us. I won't let them down. Thursday morning, I dressed for work knowing it might be the last morning of my life. But I also knew something Marcus didn't. I wasn't the broken, desperate girl he thought I was. I was my father's daughter, and my father was a detective who taught me that sometimes the greatest family revenge requires the ultimate sacrifice. The containers were arriving at 2 p.m. At 1:59 p.m., I'd find out if I was strong enough to save those girls, or if Marcus had planned the perfect family drama finale. Thursday, 1:45 p.m. The Blackwood Industries shipping yard buzzed with activity. 40 containers from Colombia sat in neat rows waiting for inspection. I stood beside Marcus and Daniel, wearing the surveillance equipment that would either save 6 lives or get me killed. Sarah, Marcus said, his hand on my shoulder feeling like a snake around my neck. Today you learn what it really means to be a Blackwood. Container trucks rumbled past us. Longshoremen shouted instructions. Everything looked normal, but I could feel the weight of what was hidden in 6 of those steel boxes. Human beings, scared and trapped, probably praying for rescue. Which containers do we inspect first? I asked, playing my role as the eager student. The special ones, Daniel replied, checking his watch. HT designated containers always get personal attention. They absolutely knew what HT meant, and they were proud of it. Marcus led us toward container HT 1147. As we walked, he talked like a tour guide showing off his empire. The beauty of the steel business, Sarah, is that nobody questions heavy containers. Customs agents see steel beams on the manifest. They assume everything inside weighs exactly what it should. My hidden cameras recorded every word. FBI agents positioned throughout the yard waited for my signal. Of course, Daniel added. Sometimes we carry more than just steel. They stopped at HT 1147. Marcus pulled out a key. Sarah, what do you think we'll find inside? My heart hammered against my ribs. Steel beams, sir? Marcus's smile was purely evil. Let's find out. The container doors opened with a metallic shriek. Inside I saw exactly what I'd expected, and exactly what broke my heart. 6 young women, ages that could have been 16 to 22, huddled in the corner like frightened animals. They were dirty, exhausted, clearly traumatized. But they were alive. Merchandise, Marcus said casually. This shipment will generate about $2 million in profit over the next 6 months. Marcus, I whispered, letting my voice shake with genuine horror. These are people. These are products, Daniel corrected. Bought and paid for. They'll work in various industries until they've earned back their transportation costs. The girls stared at us with eyes that held no hope. They'd probably been told they were coming to America for legitimate work. Now they understood the truth. I had to act. The FBI was waiting for my signal, but these girls needed to know help was coming. I can't be part of this, I said, backing away from the container. Actually, Sarah, Marcus said, his voice changing completely. You don't have a choice anymore. He nodded to 2 men I hadn't noticed before. They stepped out from behind other containers, blocking my exit routes. You see, dear sister, we know who you really are. My blood turned to ice. I don't know what you mean. Sarah Mitchell, daughter of Detective James Mitchell, and our dear departed Anna. Did you really think we wouldn't figure it out? Daniel pulled out his phone, showing me a photo of Detective Mitchell. We've been watching him for years. Imagine our surprise when he started meeting with a woman who looked remarkably like our dead stepmother. They knew everything. The question is, Marcus continued, how long have you been working with the FBI? I'm not working with anyone. I just needed a job. Really? Then you won't mind if we search you for recording equipment. This was it. Fight or flight. Live or die. I made my choice. I don't need to be searched, I said, my voice suddenly steady. Because you're right. I am working with the FBI, and they've heard every word you just said. Marcus laughed. Sarah, even if that were true, nobody's coming to save you. We own half the cops in this city. You don't own the FBI. Daniel stepped closer. It doesn't matter. By tonight you'll have joined your mother in whatever hell she's burning in. My mother isn't in hell, I said, standing straighter. She's probably watching this moment, finally seeing her killers get exactly what they deserve. I pressed the panic button, hidden in my jewelry. Instantly, the shipping yard exploded with activity. FBI agents swarmed from every direction. SWAT teams surrounded containers. Rescue vehicles raced toward us. Marcus spun around, his face pale with shock. What the hell? FBI. Everyone on the ground. Now. Agent Rodriguez's voice echoed through a bullhorn as dozens of agents closed in on our position. Marcus grabbed my arm, his grip painful. You think this changes anything? We have lawyers. We have connections. We'll be out by tomorrow. No, I said, pulling free of his grip. You won't, because I have 22 years of evidence, documenting every murder, every crime, every victim, including detailed records of how you killed my mother. Daniel's eyes went wide. That's impossible. We destroyed everything. You destroyed everything at the house. But Detective Mitchell kept copies. And I found your personal ledger, Marcus, the one where you documented every killing like a business expense. The FBI reached us. Marcus Blackwood, Daniel Blackwood, you're under arrest for human trafficking, money laundering, murder, and conspiracy. As handcuffs clicked around their wrists, Marcus looked at me with pure hatred. You're still nothing, Sarah. You'll always be nothing. No, I said, watching paramedics rushing to help the girls in the container. I'm the daughter who survived. I'm the witness who remembered. I'm the woman who made sure 22 victims finally got justice. Agent Rodriguez approached me. Sarah, are you hurt? I'm fine. What about the girls? Safe. Medical teams are evaluating them now. Thanks to you, they're going home. As police cars drove away with my brothers, I stood in that shipping yard feeling something I'd never experienced before. Complete peace. 6 months later, I sat in a federal courthouse, watching justice finally delivered. Marcus received life imprisonment without parole. Daniel got the same sentence. Their criminal empire, built on the graves of 22 victims, crumbled completely. The 6 girls from the container were safe, reunited with families, or placed in protective care. The FBI raid uncovered 3 more trafficking operations and saved 47 victims total. But the most important moment came when Detective Mitchell finally heard the words he'd waited 22 years to hear. In the matter of Anna Blackwood's murder, this court finds both defendants guilty of first-degree homicide. Your mother can rest now, he whispered, tears in his eyes. I'd finally found my real family. Not the Blackwoods who'd never wanted me, but Detective Mitchell, who'd spent decades seeking justice for the woman we both loved. Today I run the Anna Mitchell Foundation, helping trafficking survivors rebuild their lives. The foundation is funded by the seized assets from Blackwood Industries, blood money transformed into healing. People ask if I regret the family revenge that destroyed my brothers, but this was never about revenge stories or family drama. This was about justice for victims who couldn't speak for themselves. I learned that family isn't about blood or names or inheritance. It's about who shows up when everything falls apart. Detective Mitchell showed up for 22 years. The FBI showed up when lives were at stake. And I showed up when those girls needed saving most. Sometimes the greatest inheritance isn't money or property. It's the courage to do what's right, even when it costs everything. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm the daughter who was never supposed to survive. But I did survive. And I made sure the truth survived with me. If this story moved you, please like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear that their worth isn't determined by how others treat them. Comment below about a time you found strength in an unexpected place. And subscribe for more powerful stories about families' truth and finding justice when the system fails. Remember, you're stronger than you know, and your story matters more than you realize.